As you can see, the color of today is green, vert. This is going to revolve around our topic of the day, which is the bitation. Today, I'm going to talk about our bitation and a tragic event that occurred about 20-something years ago. Now, what is a bitation? A bitation is sacred land. To Vodouism, who comes up in lineage practice, family practice, and I want to say that separate from people who have initiated into société. Bitation is where your family grew up. You know, where your mother, your father, this is the land that they purchased and they set up to serve and venerate the ancestors as well as the loi and honor God. Now, our bitation, where my family is from, on my father's side, is from La Plaine and the Bout-Boyer area. So they pretty much purchased the land probably around the 1930s. This was even before I was born. So this story is, you know, I'm talking about an ancient land. You know, in Vodou, we can consider this as a Vodouisan's Garden of Eden. I've been told stories when I was a youngster. They said if there's problems anywhere, if you come to this yard, nothing's going to be able to affect you. That's what they say. But this is how many people view their bitation. It is heavily guarded by, let's just say, by supernatural forces. So anyhow, enough of that. I'm going to get into my story now. So years ago, an uncle of mine's, who is a very avid player or an avid gambler. This guy, let's just say, he would dream dreams, hit lottery numbers, right? But his power came through serving, right? So let's just say years ago, he took a flight to the bitation. And let's just say everything appeared normal at the time from what was said. He takes a flight back to America, and oh my God, he finds out one of his sons got arrested. For what? Attempted murder. So this doesn't sit right with that uncle of mine. He's like, how did this occur? What is this? You know, if anything, I just did a ritual, you know, to serve, and this happens. What's going on here? You know, so he gets intel that he should go back to Haiti. So he goes back to Haiti and he checks everything out. He's walking around here, he's walking around there, he's walking here, and he doesn't find nothing. So now he goes into the chambers. Now, this is why I say, for you guys, if you want the complete visual illustration, you should watch the documentary, The Face of God. Again, it's going to be in the comment section as well as in the description, because this will give you a visual of what I'm talking about. Now, he goes into some of these chambers, these rooms that are designed for the loi. Now, when you are at a bitation and they have houses, kai pour loi, what you find in these kai is that you may find a bed, you find a whole setup like it's there for a living person, you know? And this is to show you how serious Haitian people take this. They'll create a whole bedroom for a loi, you know, and no human beings is there. Sleeping there, that's for the loi. They treat them as real life human beings, right? So he goes from chamber to chamber, chambre loi to chambre loi, and he opens the red door. The room for Bosu. Now, who is Bosu? Bosu is a loi of bulls, right? He's a bull spirit and very powerful spirit, very powerful. You know, some people say c'est un loi chaud, loi pétro, right? A hot spirit, right? So he goes in there, and what does he find? The picture of his son. So he's like, wow. So he picks up the picture and he says, you know, he has to do a ritual and ask for forgiveness. Now, a lot of you that are watching this video, you're probably gonna say, why did he have to ask for forgiveness? Well, when you dedicate a room to a specific spirit, if they're not compatible with another spirit, you don't bring that spirit into, you don't bring anything that belongs to someone or another spirit into that room, because it will make that spirit very angry. Some may say jealous, etc., but very angry. Like, who are you to put somebody else's stuff in my home? So this is the look, this is, how can I say, this is how it's perceived. We're human beings, and they are transcendental forces of nature. You know, we're minute in comparison to them. These guys are timeless. So an infinite being talking to a finite human being. You go put the picture of you drop the picture of your son in my room? What do you think you're doing? Are you disrespecting me? I'm just saying, that's how the spirits is talking. You know what I'm saying? That's how the spirits is talking. They talking to you like, listen, chump, pick that up and get that thing out of here. So my uncle is like, you know what? He goes and does an offering and he asks for forgiveness. So anyhow, that same day, my uncle goes to sleep and he wakes up, and to his surprise, he finds a dead man in the middle of the yard. Now, that space where you see me in the yard, like when you watch the Face of God documentary, you see me walking around from different, the pieds tirel of Legba, you see me around different areas in the Laku, right? In the field. And pretty much in that open field towards the entrance, you find a dead man lying there. And from there, it's like, people are wondering, how did he get here? What was his thing? But the thing that stood out to us was, and still is a mystery today, why did he have one boot on his leg? Now, I'm not too sure which foot it was on, but he was missing another boot. But everybody talked about how his boot was so big and he only had it on one foot. He was dead. Nobody knows how he got there. So now, I'm assuming that they took the body. I don't know what they did with the body. I have no idea whatsoever. Now, and I want to specifically put this out here. My Laku is not a démembré Laku. That is a Guinea Laku and Petwo, right? There is no type of monstrosity going on, black magic. That's something that, you know, my grandfather taught his kids not to get involved with. Now, Leonard, he took a different path, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, yeah, he took a different path. So what I do is definitely not a reflection of what the elders, you know, would do whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? I always say that, you know, that's why I am not a Wugan. You know what I'm saying? That's not my calling. That's not my path. Even when I was a youngster, they used to call me Chef Bunzi, the chief of bandits. You know, they knew I was basically a terror whatsoever. So they saw that at my young age whatsoever. But, you know, neither here, that's not neither here nor there. But anyway, to move on to our video. Basically, he flies back to America, right? But in the midst of this, his son is going through the proceedings. He's locked up, whatsoever, something on that line. But anyway, his date comes, and let's just say he has to go before the judge. Case gets dropped. Yeah, case gets dropped, and he's free. Kid that was facing attempted murder. You know, basically what happened, to go back to that, was him and his brother got into a fight out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. And one of his sons got into the car and tried to run over his brother, but he missed and hit the garage. So that was attempted murder, right? So anyhow, they appear before the judge and he gets released. So what's going on here? You're probably saying, how does this relate to everything? See, the infraction of dropping the picture, that was one thing. Removing it and asking for a pardon, it was accepted. So let's look at it like this. If his son would have went to prison for attempted murder, right? That's years of his life. That's years taken from his life, right? Now, the sacrifice or the trade-off was that. So now you find a dead man here. He takes the place of your son. Now your son is let go free. This sounds kind of crazy. This is probably something that you're probably looking at. How does this mean? This is something that you probably never heard of. Well, this is mystical things that happen in Haitian Vodou, and you have to have des yeux, fongens yeux pour voir. You have to have eyes to see, you know, spiritual eyes to see and interpret what's going on here. So that happens. My cousin is let free, and that's the end of the story. I hope this video was very informative, you know, but before I even close out, bitation is a whole different world. And each bitation, its règlement or regulations vary according to which spirit is there. And not like every bitation does not function the same way. Bitation is a very sacred land, and you got to be careful with who you bring to the yard and what you do on the yard, because the consequences of violating the spirit's trust can be very detrimental. And with that said,